effort, tranquility, effort, joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. And then last is two. What are the two? Vijja Vimukti. Vijja Vimukti means knowledge and liberation. Now, Vijja is knowledge. That is why we call the Buddha Vijja Charana Sampanna. Buddha is endowed with knowledge and conduct. Vijja means knowledge, Charana means conduct, behavior. And Buddha was able to have these two because he practiced mindfulness of breathing, 4 foundations of mindfulness, and 7 factors of enlightenment. And therefore he was able to acquire Vijja and Vimukti, knowledge and conduct. Conduct is Silam, Varam, Indriya Samaro, Matsanyuta, Yagaryanavitto, Saddha, Hiri, Ottappa, 4 jhanas, and all these things Buddha acquired. That is his charana. Vijja is primarily 3 vijja, Ubbena, Nivasansa, Dippachakku, Asavakkhaya. But in addition to that, he also had abhinya. They are called iddhi-vidha. Iddhi-vidha, Buddha mentioned that if somebody practices mindfulness of breathing and that person gains this knowledge and conduct, that is one is basis of success. There are 4 bases of success. They are called Iddhipada. Iddhipada. Iddhipada are 4: Chanda, Chitta, Virya, Vimansa. Chanda should be understood according to the context. In some places, Chanda is used in a negative sense, like biases. Chanda, Bhaya, Dosa, Moha. There, Chanda is a bias, prejudice. And we also use Kama Chanda. Again, it is unwholesome, Chanda. And other places, Chanda is used. Chanda is will, desire. In these 2 places, desire is used as unwholesome desire. Bias is unwholesome desire. Then sensual pleasure is unwholesome desire, Kama Chanda. Then this word Chanda, desire, is used in positive sense. positive, when it is used in positive sense, we say, when we make effort, we say, Chandan janayati vayamati viryam arvati chittam pagannati padati. Arouse our desire to overcome all the arisen, unwholesome mental states, and we arouse our desire to prevent unwholesome mental state from arising, it's called samvara, and we arouse desire to gain unarisen, unarisen wholesome mental state, and we have desire to maintain and sustain and support wholesome mental state. That is called four efforts. Their desire is a wholesome desire. And then in this basis of accomplishment, basis of success, also we use desire. That also is called chanda. So there are four bases of success. So Buddha said, because whatever ascetics or Brahmins in the past generated spiritual power completely, all did so because they had developed and cultivated the four bases of spiritual power. And whatever ascetics or Brahmins in the future will generate spiritual power completely, all will do so because they will have developed and cultivated the four bases of spiritual power. Whatever ascetics or Brahmins at present generate spiritual power completely, all do so because they have developed and cultivated the four bases of spiritual power. I think you all remember, this is so powerful that when Buddha declared that he was going to pass away, 3 months before he passed away, he declared that I am going to leave this samsara totally, completely, and my lifespan is going to be ended. Ayu Sankara. Ayu Sankara is conditions for living. Conditions for living. I am going to give up all the conditions for living, wish to live in 3 months. And said, he addressed Venerable Ananda, if somebody practiced and completed 4 bases of success, can live for Ayu Kalpa. Ayu Kalpa. Ayu Kalpa doesn't mean that the Buddha would live a whole kalpa. That means he would live the entire lifespan of which he was born into. He was born into the time when people's lifespan was 120. He could have lived another 40 years if he wished. However, if somebody invited him to live the remaining 40 years, because he has practiced these 4 bases of success, he could develop the wish to live for another 40 years. He made this declaration at the age of 80. Of course, in the Buddha's time, there were people who lived 120. It is said Venerable Bhakula lived 160 years. 160 years. At the age of 80, he became a monk and lived another 80 years. So people could live that long. Buddha could have lived even 160 years. If somebody invited him to stay that long, because he has practiced these 4 bases of success. So the 4 bases of success is so powerful that powerful basis of success can be practiced, developed, and fulfilled if we practice mindfulness of breathing. Mindfulness of breathing is so powerful. But Venerable Ananda, Buddha repeated this 3 times. Venerable Ananda was, I don't know, he was not that mindful to get this message into her heart, to take it seriously. So afterward, Buddha said, Ananda, let me be alone. So Ananda left him for a while. Then Mara came and invited him to pass away. Mara repeated the Buddha, repeated his request, and they said, you said you would pass away. And when I asked you to pass away, you said you would not pass away until all the bhikkhus learned the Dhamma, accomplished the Dhamma, knowledge, and be able to face all the opponents' arguments, answer those their questions satisfactorily until they complete their knowledge of Dhamma, attain full enlightenment, I will not pass away. When that happened, Mara came and invited him to pass away. Then he repeated the same thing. Until bhikkhunis achieve such a success, I would not pass away. When that happened, he invited him to pass away. Then he said, until lay people, laymen, attain such success, I would not pass away. Then he came and invited again, then said, I would not pass away until bhikkhu, lay women have achieved this success. I would not pass away. So Amara said, now that we have done, all the bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, upasaka, upasikas have attained such distinctions, you can pass away. Then Buddha said, okay. He accepted Mara's invitation and he gave up the conditions for living anymore. Gave up Ayu Sankhara. So when Venerable Ananda came and Ananda saw all of a sudden great light Ananda did not know why this happened. He came and asked the Buddha. Then Buddha said, this happens when Buddha declared that he was going to pass away. Then he invited the Buddha still. Then he said, too late. Too late. I have already accepted Maharaj's invitation. I cannot accept another invitation to live. So this shows that when one develops these four bases of success, that person can do marvelous things. Iddhivida. Iddhivida. Iddhivida means various superhuman practices like walking on water, like walking on the earth without sinking. And he could travel anywhere he wants to go, through rocks, mountains, and so on. None of them would be an obstacle for his traveling. He can go. And he could see Dibba Chakku, see things happening in far away places. We can do it today through television. Today I spoke to people in Sweden, Australia. Just before this talk, I saw them. But those days, Buddha said, if we practice this without this artificial modern technology, he was able to do what we are doing now through Zoom and what do you call it, FaceTime and so forth. And then who's able to read others' thoughts. This kind of normal, supernatural things one can do if one practices four bases of success. That vidya. Not only that, knowledge, vimutti, vidya and vimutti. And Buddha said, all those who have attained liberation in the past, they did so by practicing four bases of success. And Buddha said, before my enlightenment, while I was still a bodhisattva, not yet fully enlightened, it occurred to me, what now is the cause and conditions for the development of the base for spiritual power? It occurred to me, here a bhikkhu develop the base for spiritual power that possesses concentration due to desire and volitional formations of striving. That is, it's called Chandanjaneti. Okay. Chanda, Samadhi, Sankhara, Chanda Samadhi Sankara Samannagatam Iddipadam Bhaveti. Chanda Samadhi Sankhara Samannagatam Iddipadam Bhaveti. Practices desire Chanda Samadhi to gain concentration. Chanda Samadhi. Sankhara. Sankhara means in that achievement, what you call jhana, conditions. Will spiritual power develop the basis for spiritual power that possesses concentration due to desire and volition. This concentration arises because of the desire and conditions, volition, will. Volitional formations of striving, thinking, thus my desire will be neither too slack nor too tense, and it will be neither constricted internally nor distracted externally. He dealt perceiving in after and before. So after as before. So before as before as after, as below so above, as above so below, as by day so by night, as at night so by day. Thus with a mind that is open and undeveloped, he develops it and imbued with luminosity. Now, when we practice, this is one of them, all the four are like this. That means for one who has the desire to gain this spiritual power, and he gains it, once he gains it, then for that person, above, below, inside, outside, day and night are all the same. That means all around. His vision, awareness is perfect. That is why when the Buddha attained that accomplishment, that success based on desire, that he was able to have this sabbanyuta jnana, all-knowing knowledge, because he developed this four. This is the description of one. All the four are like that. Chanda, Samadhi, Sankhara, Samannagatam, Nityapadam Bhavati. When he practiced this with desire, gain concentration, and then that concentration is so powerful, luminous, clear, that he was able to have this supreme vision. When he attained enlightenment is a Vidya Utapadi, Panya Utapadi, Aloko Utapadi. Chakkum Utapadi, Vidya Utapadi, Chakkum Utapadi, Panya Utapadi, Vidya Utapadi, Aloko Utapadi. For him, day, night, above, below, in, out, all so clearly, perfectly luminous, shining, clear. So, this is what is meant by knowledge. I mentioned only one, other three also. This is Chanda, desire. Next is Chitta, will, Virya, effort, Vimansa, investigation. Investigation is one of the factors of enlightenment. Second factor of enlightenment is called Dhamma Vicaya Sambojjhanga. And he practiced that. Now he practice the four bases of success called Iddhipada. And therefore, when he attained enlightenment, he said, with regard to the four noble truths, he had vision, knowledge, eye, vision, Chakku-utapadi, Jnana-utapadi, Vidya-utapadi. Knowledge arose, Aloko-utapadi. Light arose in him because of these practices. And therefore, this for what you call Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, is very wonderful practice. So I think this is the end of Anapanasati. This doesn't mean it is exhausted. Sutras explain, sutras, the meaning, it is power is inexhaustible. So I just, I must say that I just scratched the surface of the mindfulness of breathing discourse. Now, I want to make cross-reference to mindfulness, four foundations of mindfulness. Four foundations of mindfulness and mindfulness of breathing are the same. Four foundations of mindfulness we mentioned earlier. Four tetrad are four foundations of mindfulness. The other four foundations of mindfulness is the details of this. For instance, I mentioned mindfulness of breathing has 14 exercises. Mindfulness, four foundations of mindfulness, discourse in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Satipatthana Sutta, and so forth, have each has 14 exercises for what you call for the mindfulness of the body. One is mindfulness of breathing. It is exactly like mindfulness of breathing discourse. That is one exercise. At the end of that exercise, there is what we call just like a chorus of a song. That is, iti ajhattam va kaya kayanupassi virati, bahiddhava kaya kayanupassi virati, ajhat bahiddhava kaya kayanupassi virati. Samadaya dhammanupassi va kayasmi virati, vaya dhammanupassi va kayasmi virati, Samudeva Dhammanupassiva Karismin Virati. Iti ajnatam, thus one become mindful of the factors internally and be mindful of the factors externally. What do we gain internal body? What kind of knowledge? We gain the knowledge of internal, but that's our body, with regard to breathing. Every tiny, minute moment in our body is changing, impermanent. And in that which is impermanent is unsatisfactory. That which is impermanent, unsatisfactory is without self. These are the three things we see in our body. When we breathe in and out, we see these three things happening. Now, when we then externally in other living beings also have the same phenomena. That means everything externally, everyone externally also is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and without self. In this respect, they and us are the same. There is no difference whatsoever. We may appear in many different shape and size and color, height and this and that. All these are superficial. But in reality, we all are one. You can prove this scientifically, psychologically, physically, mathematically. If you want to use any scientific approach, you use any scientific approach, any science, you don't find any difference. We all are the same. Iti ajjattam va kaya kanpasi paritha kaya kanpasi. Then these two are combined together. See, rising, be mindful internally, be mindful externally, and then be mindful of both internally and externally. I mentioned it in one of my talks, why it is repeated like that. You see, once you see internally, once you see externally, and then you combine them together. Why do we want to combine? Because while this is happening simultaneously, while I am changing, you are changing. We don't take turns to change. That you change first and then I change afterward. Not like that. While I am changing, you all are changing. Since it is happening simultaneously, when we, while breathing, paying our attention to the breath, we know that we know the others also are breathing, and also we know while I am breathing, they are breathing. In order to show this simultaneity happening at the same time, these two are combined. And that is also very true. Then, becoming aware of rising, be mindful of rising, Samudaya Dhamma Anupassava Karismin, rising of the body, rising phenomenon of the body, falling phenomenon of the body, Dhamma, and rising and falling phenomenon of the body. Rising, falling, rising, falling, and then combine these two, rising and falling. Why it is repeated that way? Because while something is rising and falling, in that particular action there is a minutest rising and falling. For instance, with regard to the breathing, when we breathe in, the breath is not one single cylindrical object. Breath is air particles, air waves. These air particles or air waves are changing while we are breathing in. And also while we are breathing out, after we breathe in, the oxygen is absorbed into our red blood cells, and then carbon dioxide will come out. That also is not one single object, but that also has many tiny, minute particles. And therefore, they also are changing. In order to show the minutest changes in the changing, it is said rising and falling, rising and falling. And in order to make it clear, I quoted the Buddha's very powerful quotation, that is the condition, the characteristics of conditions. Buddha said, Tini madhibhekkhire sankata sankata lakkanani, katamani teni, uppado panyayati, vayo panyayati, titasa anyatatam panyayati. Uppado panyayati, vayo panyayati, titasa anyatatam panyayati. Because there are three characteristics of conditions. What are the three? Rising is visible, knowable, perceptible. Falling is visible, knowable, perceptible. But in between rising and falling, whatever is called present is altering. Altering. Whatever we call present is not fixed present. Whatever we call present also is altering. That is the third character of the characteristic of conditioned things, sankhara. So we must remember these three very important factors when we practice this meditation. Then, samudaya dhammanupassaya, vaya dhammanupassaya, samudaya. Atthikayoti vapana satipattyupattita hoti. The mindfulness is there. Mindfulness that there is body is established. Mindfulness that there is body, that there is body. Why that body is there? Yavadeva jnanamattaya patisatimattaya. Why the body is there? For gaining knowledge and mindfulness. This body is not for anything else. For a meditator who wants to develop his mind. A body is there as an object for that person to gain knowledge and awareness. What kind of knowledge? What kind of awareness? Knowledge is that this body is made up of external bodies, elements. These bodies are made up of elements. In Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta, Buddha mentions 6 elements. Earth, water, air, fire, space, and consciousness. 6 elements. So we gain the knowledge. For earth element, we have 20 parts of the body among 32 parts. Actually, these 32 parts of the body, in original sutras, only 29. 29 parts. But later, one more part is added. That is brain. Kesa, Loma, Naka, Danta, Tacho, Mansa, Naharu, Akki, Akiminga, Wakam, Adaya, Yakana, Kuloma, Kampiyakam, Papasa, Anta, Antaguram, Udaryan, Harisam. That's all. Then later they added brain after Harisa, after what you call feces. Why is added there at the end of that? Because that was a part of earth element, made up of earth element. And then 20 parts belong to water element. 4 parts belong to fire element. 6 parts belongs to what you call air element. And then space. All these things in the body, in between them not to have any what one of them would crush the other if there is no space. There is a space in our body. Everywhere we have space. Most gross places are nostrils, ear, mouth, and so forth, and so forth. These are the opening where we can see air. But other than that, we have, we have space. Other than that, inside, in order to move things, there must be space. And that space is called space element. Then there is another element called Vijnana Dhatu. Vijnana Dhatu. Vijnana is consciousness Dhatu element. This is, I think, the very first beginning of consciousness in the mother's womb is the consciousness element, which eventually became 6 through our eyes when the senses build up, our other 5 senses build up. This consciousness began to express through those senses. But originally, it was only one tiny little moment of conception, at the moment of conception. And therefore, it is called an element. It is this element that has different names: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, and so on. Now, so knowledge and this body exists for us to gain knowledge and awareness, mindfulness. This is the knowledge of these material things. What is awareness or mindfulness? Mindfulness is that they all are changing. They all are impermanent. Impermanence is not something hanging from clouds. There must be something to be impermanent. And this aggregate that we have are the material that are impermanent. So this body exists for us to gain this knowledge and this mindfulness. Nothing for nothing else. For nothing else. All other things are embellishments, unnecessary embellishment added to this life. But the primary purpose of existing this body is for this knowledge and mindfulness. Satipattiparta yavijananmataya, then anissitoja viharati. That is the important part. Anissitoja viharati. So the person knows all these things and knows, then the person does not cling to them. Does not cling to them. Nati kinchu loke upadhyati. Anissitoja viharati. Nati kinchu loke upadhyati. Don't depend on this. Anissitoja. When you depend for what? Depend on this for what? Don't depend on them for our liberation. But use them for gaining liberation. Depending on something is one thing, using it for some purpose is another. So the body exists for us to gain this knowledge and mindfulness, to develop our wisdom and liberate ourselves from suffering. But nacha kinchu loke upadhyati. Upadhi means clinging, holding. So we practice this ardently, diligently for a long time to reach this stage. What is the stage? To become aware of the purpose of the existence of this body, but not to depend on them. Depending on that for liberation is making us going back to the beginning. And Buddha said in another place, in another context, Kumbhupamam kaya memang viditva, nagarupamam chittamitan tapetva, yodeta maram panyaidena, jitanjarake anivesanosya. That means, look at the body, compare the body to a clay pot. You know, clay pot is so brittle, it can break anytime. That is how the body is. Nagarupamam chittamidan tapetva. Look at the mind like a city. When you think of a city, you can see trillions of things happening in a city. Vehicles, people, talking, jobs and so forth, airplanes and all these things are city. Yodetamaram panyayudena. So seeing these two in this way, fight the Mara with wisdom weapon, or weapon of wisdom. Fight the Mara with the weapon of wisdom. Mara can intervene or invade our mind anytime and remain mindful to fight wisdom. And that is what we want to cultivate through the practice of this meditation on mindfulness of breathing or for foundations of mindfulness, particularly in this section. And fight to gain this knowledge and vision. Once you gain this knowledge and vision, knowledge and or mindfulness, don't hang on to it. Jitanjarake anivesanodya. Protect what you gain, but don't dwell upon it. Don't live there. Don't hang on to it. That is what, don't cling to it. If you cling, hang on to it, you have not won the battle. Normally when you have material fight for land or something, then you want to hold on to it, protect it, so that the enemy will not take it back again. But in the spiritual training, this mindfulness meditation training, it is not mentioned in the discourse, but I can see the connection between what he said there and this, that we make so much effort, so spend so much time, we dedicated and sacrificed all kind of comforts, dedicated and sacrificed to gain this knowledge and mindfulness. Once we gain this, we must hold on to it. We must not hold on to it. We must let it go. That means don't cling to it. Anisito natikintuleke upadhyate. And that is what Buddha mentioned in Alagaddu Sutta, you may remember. Dhamma vibhikkhave pahatabba pageva adhamma. Dhamma vibhikkhave pahatabba pageva adhamma. Even the Dhamma, you should let go. Let go of Dhamma. And needless to say anything about Andhamma, wrong Dhamma. Pageva Dhamma. No need to talk about unwholesome Dhamma. Even the wholesome Dhamma you must let go. Don't hang on to it. So, in the Alagattu Sutta, there is beautiful simile. There the boat wrapped in order to cross the body of water. You make a raft collecting all the leaves and twigs and so forth, and make a raft and jump onto it, and using hands and legs you swim. After swimming and crossing the body of water, river or something, after crossing, you don't carry the raft on your shoulder. You let it go. Similarly, this practice we must do all alone without clinging to it, holding on to it, and finally let it go. So, mindfulness meditators don't fight with each other to defend their own practice. They let each and everyone practice according to their understanding. I think with this I must conclude today's talk, and I hope we began to we must continue our practice as we have been doing, and more vigorously, more intensely, and see the truth of this marvelous teachings of the Buddha, and try to gain liberation as quickly as possible. I wish you all best of luck.